Most of you know that we've been working for some time to try to mitigate the threat of either man-made induced electromagnetic pulse or geomagnetic storm on the grid. It's one of those things where it is of cataclysmic significance. I know that everyone speaks in hyperbole when it comes to the whole EMP issue, but if you don't, you're almost not being accurate, and if you do, sometimes you're dismissed as being overwrought over something that's not as serious as in the minds of most people as it really is.
Those aren't my words. Those are the words of Representative Trent Franks from years ago, or a couple of years ago, of him warning of the threat of an EMP, an electric magnetic pulse, or as he said, a geomagnetic storm on the grid, something that we should all focus on. Now, in today's report, I want to take you through a few coincidences, if you will, but on November the 4th, there was a few things going down, and I've reported on this numerous times on my channel, but we know that Antifa is planning their November 4th attack, if you will, or their protests and riots all across the country. But coincidentally, on that same day, Mars and the the National Association for Amateur Radio are both planning an EMP-style drill on that same day. Now, they've done EMP drills before, but I find it coincidental that it's all on the same day. Are they just going to have people out in the event that something breaks out with Antifa? I don't know. But let me take you straight to the source so you can see it for yourself. The first one here is on www.arrl.org. Again, that's the National Association for Amateur Radio. Now, this report was put out October 24th, 2017, and it's titled Communications Inoperability Training with Amateur Radio Community Set. Now, inoperability actually means the ability of computer systems or software to talk with each other, or the military equipment or groups to operate in conjunction with each other. So military groups and computer systems operating with each other is what this is about. Now, it goes on to detail that elements of the U.S. Department of Defense will conduct a communications inoperability training, that's communicating between systems, training exercise on November 4th all the way through the 6th. Once again, simulating a very bad day scenario. Amateur radio and Mars organizations will take part. In case you don't know what Mars is, that is the Military Auxiliary Radio System, so the military aspect of your radios there. But this exercise will begin with a national mass coronal ejection, or CME event, which will impact the power grid as well as all forms of traditional communication, including landline telephone, cell phone, satellite, and internet connectivity. It goes on and says, during the exercise, a designated DoD headquarters entity will request county by county status reports for the 3,143 United States counties and county equivalents in order to gain situational awareness and to determine the extent of the impact of those scenarios. Army and Air Force Mars organizers will work in conjunction with amateur radio community, primarily on the 60-meter inoperability channels, as well as HF, NVIS frequencies, and local VHF and UHF, non-internet linked amateur radio operators. So there you have it. They have this planned event that they're going to practice what happens as a result if we're attacked on the power grid. Now, like I said, this just so happens to correspond to Antifa. Let me show you on their website, refusefascist.org, fascism.org. Horrible website, but here they are very open that on November 4th, they're going to take to the streets and cities. This includes all different cities across the country. I'll tell you which in a moment, but they're planning an uprising to oust President Donald Trump and the Mike Pence regime, and they are promising to continue to go and stop at nothing until the Trump regime is taken out. These are the kind of people we're dealing with. Now, they've already held up traffic. They went on an interstate and it all begins November 4th and held up signs saying that they are going to basically stand against. But this is the kind of group that we're dealing with. Now, Project Veritas has also released information on how they plan to be violent against any conservatives, specifically patriots or anybody who is a Donald Trump supporter. Many were saying that they were going to bring knives, and that kind of thing to some of these protests. So just a heads up for all you guys out there. But some of the cities that are being protested are going to have protest are LA, the Bay Area, San Francisco, Portland, Austin, Omaha, Honolulu, Chicago, Atlanta, Cleveland, New York City, Boston, Philadelphia, Pittsfield, Tucson, and the list goes on with cities within those and other counties within those as well. I think Orange County. So there's all different areas that are being targeted by this specified group. Now, all this, we must also consider one other thing, and I did a report on this, but the FEMA director also came out with his own warning just this past month. Now, let me take you straight to that report, and this one's on www.theorganicprepper.com. And it's titled, FEMA Director Urges Americans to Develop a True Culture of Preparedness, but no one is listening. So there we have, just last month, the FEMA Director giving a warning, telling the American people that you need to be prepared. What do we need to be prepared for? What is it that we need to develop a culture of preparedness for? Is it some kind of long-term event? Now, that's not to downplay. We have threats from North Korea to attack us using an EMP. That's something that they have technology for, not to mention the cyber threats. We have Janet Napolitano and many others. Trent Franks, as you saw in the beginning of this video, warning of EMP style attacks via the power grid, via a coronal mass ejection, via a hack attack or a cyber attack, or during a war. This is something that is a real threat. Otherwise, people in our government wouldn't give it the time of day. They wouldn't be doing these drills that they're doing to prepare for these style of catastrophes. When they do these drills, that tells us that they take this as a serious threat, and that really is something that they need to prepare for, which I think we need to have the preparation for stuff like that, obviously. But at the same time, I find it coincidental and eerie that it's on the same day as these Antifa thugs are planning to go out. Is it just a coincidence? Very possibly. But here's the thing, if an EMP were to hit, it's going to send us back into the dark ages. We're talking within 24 hours, certain trucks wouldn't be able to deliver their goods to places, so we already have shortages in medical supplies and food shortages. 2 to 3 days, we're going to hit starvation mode for people because all the food's going to be out of the grocery stores. That's why I tell everyone, please prepare with food. I use My Patriots Supply. There's a link below, www.preparewith.com /Leisha Haven. I'll leave a link below for that. But make sure you have food somewhere. This is a big reason for that. Not only that, but you got to have water. You got to have a filtered water, the ability to filter water. Because during an EMP, after about a week, or even maybe before then, you're talking about, or way before then probably, you need water first and foremost before the food. So fix the water problem that you have before you get the food, if I'm going to put it that way. But both are very highly needed, and you need to have ways that you can filter that and keep your body energized during that time. So we're talking, things not working, fuel being gone, cars not running right. So lots of different things that can happen during that situation. So just make sure you have a heads up and you are prepared and you are ready to go. That's just why I'm such a big advocate for that. Anyhow, wanted to bring you the latest on that. Please don't forget to go to getthetea.com. He has the most amazing supplements. And speaking of preparations, your food is your dehydrated food and all that stuff doesn't have a whole lot of nutrients. It's got some, but I'm also a big avid person in having stocked up supplements and vitamins. So make sure you've got stores of vitamin C, stores of vitamins, vitamin B, or whatever vitamins that you need. Make sure you're storing those in bulk as well. And I get those from getthetea.com. So make sure you check that out as well. Anyhow, thanks again for tuning in. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.